Bush to stop a Russian takeover. Ready for the Royals, Sydney prepares to greet William, Kate and George. And the NRL backs the Dragons. Yes, the refs did get it wrong.
This is 9 News with Peter Overton.
Good evening. It's taken half a century, but today Sydney finally got the go-ahead for a second airport. It will be located at Badgerys Creek and is designed to bring jobs, infrastructure and easier access to Sydney's west. But there are still questions over who will pay for it all.
They're the quiet yet controversial 1,700 hectares earmarked since the 60s.
In fact, people started talking about the need for Sydney to have a second airport when the Deputy Prime Minister and I were still at school.
Today, Federal Cabinet approved Badgerys Creek as home for Sydney Airport too.
So it's a long overdue decision, which, to be honest, has been shirked and squibbed by successive governments for far too long.
Building will begin in 2016. Most of the $2.5 billion in construction costs will come from the private sector, creating 4,000 jobs initially, 60,000 jobs in Western Sydney once it's up and running.
Is really, in fact, a major game changer for that part of Australia.
The paddocks and dams at Badgerys Creek will initially make way for one runway, 2.5 kilometres long. It's forecast building works could take up to 10 years as road and rail links go in for the 50-kilometre journey east into the CBD.
The government's approach will be roads first, airport second.
The federal government will make a big investment in new roads needed, but expects the state government will pick up the tab for rail.
My focus has always been that if a second Sydney airport was to be given a green light, how we would fund the supporting infrastructure.
Planes aren't expected to start landing at Badgerys Creek until at least halfway through the next decade. So, in the meantime, debate about increasing the capacity here at Kingsford Smith will be back on.
The airport's history is a checkered one, beginning in 1969 when Badgerys Creek was first flagged as a possible site. Between 1986 and 1991, the site was purchased, a time marked by protests.
Take it somewhere else.
And political procrastination. In the late 90s, community opposition grew, while federal and state Labor MPs campaigned heavily against the development. In 2000, then PM John Howard scrapped the Badgerys Creek project.
It's not a political decision, it is a very logical thing to do.
A 2012 report marked Badgerys Creek as the best site for a second Sydney airport.
We need to make sure that we have not just the road links, but the rail links are absolutely vital.
The Prime Minister and Premier have scheduled an infrastructure announcement tomorrow. Lizzie Pearl, 9 News.
And the Nine Network's finance editor Ross Greenwood joins us live. Ross, how exactly will all of this be paid for?
We'll see. We've heard already that the federal government would pay for the roads, but remember that they like to recycle these assets these days, so you might expect toll roads as part of this. The state government will pay for the rail, so that means they'll try and get their money back through new suburbs and also new business parks that would go up around that airport. The airport itself, well, that would come from Sydney Airport Corporation, but today it issued a statement saying it would only go ahead with this project if it was economically viable. The big problem down the track might be if it's not economically viable, then who would actually build the airport?
All right, thank you, Ross. I want to go to Kate Creed, and she's live from Liverpool tonight. Kate, what's been the reaction in the local community to the news?
Well, Pete, today's announcement has really divided residents. Speaking to people here at Liverpool, it's almost 50-50 for and against. But one thing's for certain, everyone feels very strongly about this airport. Now, today was a day for many long-term residents after so long. Well, they thought it would never come. Laura and Tony Attard have lived at Badgerys Creek for 34 years.
You know, we like it because it's quiet, no neighbours.
It's where they've raised their children and now their grandchildren, knowing one day an airport would be built next door.
We've been waiting for it. We knew when we bought the property, you know,
The long-awaited project has been billed as a win for the West. In total, it's expected to boost the economy by $24 billion by 2060.
We have a city the size of Canberra being built in our backyard, yet we don't have the jobs to match it. This will bring those jobs.
We need the work around the area, and we need the infrastructure around the area as well, so the airport will be good for the area as a whole.
But not everyone's happy. With Sydney's existing airport shut between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m, there's a need for a 24-hour landing strip. But residents argue the same curfew should apply at Badgerys Creek.
Imagine at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, you're trying to get some sleep and there's 20, 30 planes flying over your head.
Eastern suburbs residents had never put up with this. Why is it that Western Sydney should?
Then there's the health concerns. Pollution from aircraft among the reasons the airport never went ahead a decade ago.
We already have statistics showing that Western Sydney residents suffer more from a wide range of health disorders, and this is only going to increase the risk to them.
And as planning gets underway, a promise the community will have a say. Kate Creedon, 9 News.
We're going to breaking news now. A 4-year-old boy has been hit by a car while he crossed the street with his mother in Westmead this afternoon. He suffered a cardiac arrest and was given CPR by paramedics before he was taken to the nearby Children's Hospital in a critical condition. His mother also suffered